Good evening, good evening, good evening. In a world where the drugs don't work and the price of freedom is being jacked up by inflation and a wildly out of control sales tax, who brings you all of the Liverpool FC news and analysis with the clarity of a freshly kicked testicle? It's us, American Scouser TV Thursday Night Podcast, ASTV Tinnippet to the hipsters, and joined tonight by Brian. It's the gruesome twosome tonight for all the ladies out there.
2 weeks in a row.
And so on, 2 weeks in a row. Brian, how are you tonight?
Doing fantastic.
And I think we're all probably doing fantastic after a scare yesterday in the Champions League, but nevertheless, a first 3 points on the board in the second year of the new league format, which we will talk about today. We will also talk about our last gasp winners in general, not just last night. And then our defensive woes this season, whether they are actually woes or just teething problems, whether it's all going to click at some point, and then watch out everybody else, because we'll have a sterling defense and a fantastically consistent attack. And then, of course, the game the weekend, Liverpool Everton, the Merseyside derby, which in a break against tradition and in keeping with taking care of all the fans in the city of Liverpool and making their days easier, they've put on at 12:30 in the afternoon, 7:30 for over here. Because they're kind people like that. And apparently only Liverpool and Everton fans cause problems if those kind of derby games are later on. Nobody else does that. So that's what we have for the show today. Let us start with the game yesterday. 3-2 Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. If you're a neutral, probably an incredibly exciting game, but we're not neutrals. The match itself was exciting. I mean, it was really. If you wanted to script a game for the Champions League to show people what the Champions League was in the group stage, at least, or the league stage, that's the one you would maybe do. But also with the added cherry on top of Diego Simeone having an absolute meltdown at the winner, and literally could only think of Jose Mourinho being the only other manager that would have such a meltdown. That kind of Latin temperament, as they used to call it, jingoistically back in the day. But nevertheless, it was an eventful evening, but not one good for the nerves. Brian, we both had to watch highlights, extended highlights in my case, because we didn't get to watch the actual game because we have real jobs. We have to pay the mortgages. Somebody has to fix that. Give us money. And after you finish liking and subscribing tonight, give me money. Give me all the money. I'll mind it for everybody. But Isak starts. Nobody expected that, I don't think, at the weekend. And then rumours were starting to come through that he may play 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game. But he started. He didn't score. But you could see what we were buying, couldn't you?
He's fit. That's what I can see right there. He's fit. I mean, it's going to take time right there for you to actually to meld together right there to actually run plays and stuff like that. But what I saw right there, I think we know what we bought. And I think that we bought an actual true number 9 that we haven't had in a long time. I mean, I felt bad for Ikiteke that he had to go on the bench right there, but I think that he knew what his role was going to be eventually within this side. I mean, he knew what the game plan was going to be eventually, that we were after Isak right there to there. But yeah, I mean, I was from the highlights I watched of him, definitely impressed right there. I think that that first half right there, you could see the movement and you could see the thought processes coming through right there between that front line. And I think it's got a very bright future ahead of it.
One of the things about it was that for Ekitike, now God rest the soul, there was obviously clearly a time when we would be happy to start Diogo Jota and happy to have him come off the bench. He was that good. for a long period of time for us. But to have Isak start his first game in the Champions League, having not trained properly. He's trained clearly and kept his fitness up, but not trained match fitness level. And then to have him come off and then bring on Hugo Ekitike, that's an embarrassment of riches we haven't had since maybe Fowler and Owen in the early 2000s. What do you think?
Oh, easily right there.
Yeah, because I was going to say Suarez and Sturridge played together, whereas Owen rotated. It was always Fowler and Heskey or Owen and Heskey.
Yeah, because
be the main man in that partnership.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, hey, but you also have to throw Milan Baros coming off the bench on that same thing too. So I mean, so you still had that whole point, and then you had Gabriel Cisse right there also coming through that kind of the same time periods. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's been a long time since we've had that kind of that the joy of having that type of player. But feeding off of what Bickler said on Monday night right there on the podcast was, I agree with definitely see an Ikiteke and Isak partnership forming. I mean, it's going to happen right there because of what they both offer, and that goes back to what I said a couple of weeks ago about my lineup right there with Ikiteke playing off of Isak on the left hand side. I think that's the way forward with the side right there. I mean, as soon as we are able to get more balance, like another midfielder who can balance us out, like Wharton, somebody like that right there, I think that it's definitely it's definitely a future of happening right there with those two combining together. I mean, it's dangerous to look at them right there. I mean, because I think that Isak right there has the natural ability of a number 9 who can do link up play, can also score goals, while Ikiteke has a flow of like a Torres right there where you can see the movement and you can see the thought process and of trying to find space and stuff like that. So I mean, it's very, very bright, very bright.
And now talking about bringing people off the bench, when we don't have Suzy, we bring in Cozzy off the bench. Look at that super sub.
What?
He is back.
How are we?
How are you?
I'm good, boys. I'm good. No. I've missed the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot on. I've just bought my first house.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's it, a Wendy house to get an old Only Fools and Horses joke out there?
Yeah, which only I will understand that joke there.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's why it's the best one.
It is, yeah. Thank you. But no, it's been good. It's been good, boys. Yes, I'm back. I should be fine. But yeah,
good stuff. We have certainly missed you. Now, what we were talking about there, about the game yesterday, just the fact that Isak wasn't expected to start on the weekend when everybody talked about, and then he starts the game, and he looked like a proper number 9, didn't he? He didn't score, but he looked like a player whose movement is going to be a great bonus to Liverpool. And then the fact that we could bring Ekitike off the bench to replace him, that's what we want. That's what a proper Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup chasing squad should have, isn't it?
Indeed. Yeah, I thought he was really good. I thought his movement was there. Thought he was really good, especially for his first game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't expect him to be so, I don't want to say alert or agile, probably the wrong word, but just so switched on. I thought he'd be kind of unfit a little bit, but he looked fit as anything. So, yeah, man, it's exciting. It really is. I didn't think Ekitike had his greatest game yesterday. I thought the ball wasn't really sticking for him, but that's just, nitpicking, really. I thought it was Liverpool's best game of the season in terms of performance, at least. Thought we were really, really good in the game. Thought Atletico had a good 20, you'd argue, in the second half. But other than that, really, I thought Liverpool dominated the game. It's just, we're always going to come back to the goals, aren't we, that we're conceding? But I feel like it was a bit of a lack in concentration, especially the first one. Just a little bit lax and a little bit complacent, I thought, maybe. Second one's a great finish deflection as well. What can you do? Do you know what I mean? It looks like Ali would save it, but, it's a great strike in the end. So it's positive, man. It really is. And winning late, it's one of those things, man, where, of course, Liverpool cannot continue to do this. This is not sustainable. Liverpool need to win games comfortably, whether we like it or not. I know it's fun, and trust me, I would take one more last-minute winner on Saturday. Don't you get me wrong. If you offer me a 5-0 right now or a last-minute winner, it's the last-minute winner all day of the week. But I'm a glutton for punishment in that sense, especially against those lads across the park. But there we are.
There's nothing more emotionally damaging to Everton, though, than a last-minute goal conceded against Liverpool.
I try and have this all the time with our with fans when you try and understand last-minute winners. We've beaten Everton 4-0 twice or 3 times in my lifetime, and all you do is remember the Sadio Mane goal and the Divock Origi goal. 1-1-0, it was late on. Because they're the best ones. They just are the best. They are the moments, and they always stand out to Wilby. So, no, it is... It's always the hope that kills, gents. It's the hope.
And Gary McAllister's one as well. Don't forget that.
Gary Max is one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
He was the first name on the back of my shirt that I was allowed to pick. So it was Gary McAllister. And it's because of that. Because I was obsessed with him. He was, for the context, I don't think Liverpool won at Goodison Park in 9 years before we won that game. For the fans who don't know, we had a terrible record there. And so it was always the last minute winners that are always the best.
Now, Brian, in terms of the winner itself, we look to Salah. We look to not yesterday because it was his first game, but we will be looking to Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz to get his rocket skates on because he looks like he's getting in there. We just need, maybe one howitzer goal will make him think, okay, I can do this. This is just as easy as it was back home. You want something from Gakpo as well, but this man here comes up with the goods, and I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of seer in football, some sort of mystic Meg for those of us from across the pond who remember her. But I saw that corner where he was, and I was going, that's going in. If he gets that ball, it's going in. And it did. And I didn't even have to scare the cat when he scored because I didn't have to jump up and shout. I just saw where he was running from. And it was that this is going to be a classic Virgil van Dijk goal. But this is what you want from your captains. And we relied on Steven Gerrard for so long to pull out the magic. And now we know we have a captain worthy of the armband, but that's what we want from a captain, isn't it? We're getting to, you don't want to start off with a point. You don't want to start off with a point against Atletico Madrid. We'll talk a little bit about Diego Simeone because I'm entirely of the same mind as Cozzy. If he was your manager, you'd love the bones of him. But he's not your manager. You don't want to be dropping points to the man. But that's what you want, isn't it? Virgil van Dijk did what he's paid to do. He did a captain's performance and the captain's moment to get us those 3 points.
He found the space. He exploited it. He scored. Very simple as that right there. I think if you go back to our Discord page, the picture right there, they're showing of all the center halves right there at his current age right there. And then you look at that about what they were doing. And at their time, Sol Campbell was on there. I think it was, trying to think it was who the other ones were on there. But it was Sol Campbell was one of them. Rio, yeah, exactly. And you think about where they were already at their second clubs, third clubs, kind of like on that thing. And you have Van Dijk right now. He's just like, okay, he is at his apex still. It's a little slower, but he's smarter, and he's agile. He's finding those spaces right there. He's a pure captain. He's what you would want to have. He exemplifies a captain. And I'll say this right here, 2 seasons ago, and even on this podcast right there, I was kind of questioning how much of what a captain that Verge would be. I think a lot of us right there in our network were kind of like, how's he going to maintain right there when he took over for Henderson? It was like, is he because he kind of seemed like he was a little bit more passive right there at that point right there with him. He didn't have the voice, but man, I think Van Dijk's actually turned in probably one of our better captains that we've had in this club. Honestly, right there with he rallies the troops right there. In a different manner from from Gerrard, a different manner from Henderson. In a different. To where you see that he wants it. And we've had center halves out there. Sami Hyypiä when he was a captain right there. It was, but he was different. And this seems like this Van Dijk is, he wears it on his sleeve the whole time.
Because if you think back to, let's say, because we mentioned, let's say from the Gerrard Houllier era, the era where we stopped being the Spice Boys and started to be a modern professional European club. Hyypiä, Gerrard, Henderson, Van Dijk. It's not a bad succession line, is it?
No, mate. We've been very lucky. It's just funny with Van Dijk and his captaincy because I was sceptical a little bit, and it was nothing to do with his ability. Of course, I just didn't know what type of captain he would be. But he seems like he's that type of captain who leads by his performances. goes, if I'll drag you along with me just with my performance alone. If I go and throw in a 9 out of 10, I don't accept 3 out of 10s. And sometimes Gerrard was that type of captain, but he had the character to be the talking type of captain. So they had a bit of a yin and yang in that effect. Do you know what I mean? They had character to do the shouting and Gerrard to lead by his performances. And I think Van Dijk leads by his performances in that sense.
You'd think Robertson is probably the voice in that part, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure Virgil, goes after it, but I'm sure Robertson can probably dig a few players out as well if he has to. Do you know what I mean? I also get that feeling from players like Curtis Jones, and who can't dig players out probably. Do you know what I mean? Because they just got that attitude about them. Do you know? You forget how long some of these players have been in the club. We don't think they are big speakers, let's say, but they've been there for years. They can sit there and go, the old saying of putting your trophies on the table, lads, to these new boys. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been here and we've done it, and this is how we're going to do it, kind of deal. So there is that argument as well. I actually even look at Joe Gomez as a bit of a leader probably in the dressing room. He's been there for 10 years, respected. You know what I mean? Like our longest serving player, and deserves all the accolades he gets. So yeah, it's like Liverpool are weird. I think we're just a weird team. I don't know what we are. I know we're a very, very good football team. I'm not even arguing that. Liverpool should win trophies this season. Sometimes you get lucky and win the big ones. Sometimes you don't and you have to win the other ones, and that's fine as well. But I think this weekend could be a pivotal weekend for Liverpool. Not just because we're playing Everton. By the way, Everton are coming in really good stead. We'll get on to them, I'm sure we will. But Arsenal playing City. And you might be 5 games in having a 6-point lead. And that is not like a 6-point lead, by the way, over both of them. Because if City go out and win, that's still, you know what I mean? It still maintains. There's also a part of this where you could have a 9-point lead over City. You know what I mean? 5 games in. Are we like Liverpool were on course for over 90 points last season before they took the last 4 weeks off? If Liverpool potentially get over 90 points again, do you want to give them a 9-point lead? Do you want I know we're very early on in the season here, and I'm not writing anyone off. I'm far from it. Do you know what I mean? Football can happen quickly, but we haven't played well. We score goals consistently, but I don't understand how Liverpool might be able to look on Sunday and go, we're 6 points clear, both of our biggest rivals. And we were lucky we might have been got 93, 4, 5 points to win the league. Well, there's only 114, I think, to play for. Do you know what I mean? It just seems ridiculous, really. But I suppose that's the sound of a good team.
On that note, Brian, listening to the football show on Sirius XFM this morning, one of the, I think it was Charlie Stilitano, I think his name. I can't remember his name, but basically made a point that if Liverpool are doing this well, playing this badly, comparatively this badly, it's in terms of like the score lines, the usual kind of like the surface level kind of analysis. Yeah. But when it clicks, how good is Liverpool going to be when the defense gels back together again? When Wirtz figures out where he goes in the midfield. Attack and defense, when Ekitike and Isak figure out what they're doing, when Kerkez decides he only has to make 3 good runs a game to actually have a positive effect, and when Frimpong decides, I actually have another gear here, I can go even faster. You're kind of looking at maybe one of the best, like the classic Liverpool league runs that. Sometimes they're falling apart for us, but in the Shankly days and the Paisley days, we did have seasons where we just ran away with it. Like there was just not from the start, but there was a point where it just kicked in and everybody was like, crap, they've woken up now. That's the end of the season. Like, what do you think, Brian? Is it going to be one of those things? Because as Cuzzy says, it's not sustainable to keep getting last minute winners.
Oh, it's not. I mean, definitely not sustainable right there. I think you have to click. But again, like we talked about before, I think a lot of teams who played in that Club World Cup right there are going to fall apart. I mean, I think that the fitness, not having that full rest, and then playing into July with some cases right there, not having the classic break that you need right there to rest your bodies right there. I think you're going to get prone to injuries. I think that Chelsea, even though they could have the potential right there, you're already starting to see little cracks right there in them already. I mean, especially when you saw them against Bayern on yesterday. I mean, with how that worked. Same thing. I mean, with them, I just don't know we just have to go there and get ourselves in gear. And I think it's a lot of his mentality right there. And I know that we also had McAllister. It's still not, in my opinion, it's still not 100%. I don't think that I think he's probably about 75 to 80% right there of what we saw of McAllister last year. I mean, because he's not really coming there being dominant in the way that we saw him dominant last year. So, but yeah, once we get everything together, fitness wise, get everybody in sync right there. I mean, it's got tons and tons of potential out there. I mean, I'm not going to go one is off the board right there and say, hey, we're going to come out there and win a treble off this right there. But the thing is, right there, we have the potential too if you come out there and get the players in the right mindset, and also that you avoid injuries. I mean, because again. It's like goes what Kazi and I said, like, wow, we're one center half away from coming there and being in shambles. I mean, we said that like a couple months, like 2 months ago right there, that if we didn't come in there and correct that right there, then we have a problem right there. I mean, because you have a one player right there who can't stay, doesn't have good fitness, and you have one player right there who, is streaky right there, who has a couple weeks of good health, and next thing you know, he's out for a couple weeks. So again, if we can't keep that back line healthy, yeah, we're leaking some goals out there, but if we can't keep that back line healthy and ready to go, it could go off the rocker really quick.
Cosy, now Wirtz, I said on the Discord for the little bit that I was able to watch yesterday, but Wirtz looked like he's trying to set everybody up all the time instead of just having a go himself. Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, but when Jan Molby signed for Liverpool, I think it was Joe Fagan signed, wasn't it? Or was it Paisley? Was it Paisley's last signing?
Paisley, yeah, 84.
Yeah, that's right. And he was doing the same thing. He was not wanting to step on the toe. I mean, he was suddenly on the team with Graham Souness and Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush. And Paisley just pulled him aside and said, what did we sign you? What did we sign you for? And he was like, whatever I did at Ajax. Well, then do that. That's what we signed you to do. Do you think that's maybe the case here with Wirtz? Because we can see flashes of his brilliance, but not the domination that we saw in the Bundesliga. I mean, now the Bundesliga is maybe not as intense week to week as the Premier League is. And it's certainly a lot more, I don't want to say skillful, but aesthetically pleasing. Teams will try and play football, most of the time. But for Wirtz, it just seemed like yesterday he was trying to set everybody else up rather than just be a bit selfish and crack one in himself that could open up the floodgates for him.
Yeah, I thought he was great yesterday. I thought he was really good. You know what I mean? I thought
you could see the bones of a partnership there with Isak almost.
Yeah, you can see it already. You can see the quality he's got. Like, I can't believe people are doubting him. It's ridiculous. You can just see the way he touches the ball and the way he gets away from the player. He's a player. Like, I don't know. I don't know what people see when they look at other football players and rate other football players. Such a player on his first touch and his movement and how he gets away from someone, and he's got it all. He's one air kick away from Frimpong. If Frimpong just connects with the football, and everyone goes, what a run from Wirtz, what a great assist, he's left it for him, and then he gets his big moments, you know what I mean? I've got no doubts about him at all. I thought he was really good. I thought he was good second half against Burnley, to be honest. I thought he was one of the ones who looked like didn't lose his head and kept playing the football a little bit. Until the manager made the Frimpong and the Rio sub against Burnley, I thought 5-10 minutes before that, I thought we were losing our heads a bit, and he was the only one who kept it calm and kept trying to move the ball and kept trying to find space. So no qualms in him at all. And again, I just think we're so early on in the season. We've had a lot of new signings. It was always going to take a bit of time. Do you know what I mean? You've also got to look at the opposition we played, lads. Play some good teams, like, do you know what I mean? We haven't just played like the bottom five. We've played Arsenal, who's your biggest rivals, who are basically scumbags in the way they play, especially away from home. You know what I mean? You played Newcastle away. I don't think... Yeah, we didn't win any of those games last season. We drew with Newcastle, we drew with Arsenal, and beat them both this season. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think we are probably expecting too much. I don't really want to bring the mood down as such, but these lads are still probably going through something that's happened very much still in the summer. That's probably still fresh on their minds. Do you know what I mean? It looks like Mo Salah's carrying the weight on his shoulders, if I'm honest. I'm not trying to give him an excuse, far from it. He hasn't played well. Of course, he was better yesterday, and he takes a great goal. He should walk off with 2 because he has the post, by the way. Yeah. But they're also playing with that as well, and that can't be easy still. Do you know what I mean? It's probably still fresh in their mind going into training and things like that. And we also know in the dressing room, Jota's number's still up with his shirt, and they haven't give that spot away. So that's got to be difficult. Surely, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know how other people deal with things, but I just think sometimes we need to put things into perspective. What the lads are doing is a joke. I remember on the overlap a couple of weeks ago, it might be at the start of the season, when Roy Keane said, I'm picking Liverpool. He just said, because they'll play awful and score 2. That's what they do. And by the way, we weren't awful yesterday. I thought we were pretty good.
Yeah.
This season we have been. But
disjointed would be the way I would describe how we play sometimes.
There's a score 2. And then you've got to score 3 against them, and they're not going to concede 3 or 4 very often, Liverpool. So, which has been the case. Liverpool haven't conceded 3. Yes, we've conceded 2 and sloppy and, you know what I mean, messy. But I'd argue as well that it was Gravenberch's best game this season.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, he was great.
Boslai's best game. I know people raved about him at right back. I thought he was tremendous yesterday. I thought he was really, really good. I'm not his biggest fan. But that give me that type of performance every week from a midfielder, mate, and I'm more than pleased. More than pleased. So, again, that's another option, isn't it? You know what I mean? In terms of giving McAllister his breaks when he needs it. It feels like McAllister's been out for about 3 months just trying to get fitness. I don't know what's going on with him. But Liverpool have got a tough run of games, gents, coming up, and we're going to need every single player. So.
Let me answer this before I go to Brian, because we talked about pre-season before everything happened with Jota. If the weight of the whole, because grief doesn't go linear. It's in waves, and it's up and it's down. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how Mo Salah going to the African Cup of Nations was a potential bad thing for Liverpool. But do you think having that break away now, that might actually be one of the things that helps him a lot, just not being around it for a few weeks?
It's hard to judge. We don't know. We'll have to see what happens when we get there. Do you know what I mean? We have no idea what he's going through. I'm sure at the end of the season he might talk about it. Hopefully when he's holding the fucking 2 big trophies and he's standing there going, yeah, this is for him. And I've played with the weight on my shoulder here. Do you know what I mean? I've fucking felt every single game. We don't know. But I'm not prepared to give him an excuse, by the way. But I just think sometimes we have to put things into context. That's all. And at the moment, the lads are still getting the job done. Whether we like how they're getting the job done or not, that's a different conversation. But they are getting the job done, and all that matters is winning football matches. And you can ask any fan now of any football club. So, yeah, I just think sometimes and I know Salah's coming for a little bit of stick this season because he hasn't played too well. But I still think he scored 3 or 4 goals, had a couple of assists, and his numbers will still be there at the end of the season, won't they? Because that's what he does. So.
Brian, now we saw Rio again yesterday. I'm completely missing out here and having a mental breakdown, which is quite possible. But I don't think I've had this discussion before, which I think I think if a player's physically ready and mentally ready to play football, maybe not starting every week, but being in the squad and getting subbed on, then you just let them go with it, because you can hold them back as much as you can push them forward too much. But he must feel fantastic that a manager who's won a league in his 4th season thinks he's a great option to come off the bench. Plus, if you're an academy player right now that thinks they're knocking on the door of getting on, a cup squad, you're looking at that and you're going, oh, if I could do something in a cup game, maybe I'll be the next one that sits on the bench beside Rio. I mean, that's a fantastic thing to be able to give a young kid like that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can say the same thing about James McConnell over the past 2 seasons right there, when Klopp came there and gave him that first opportunity right there and saw that little bit. And then Slot had him basically promoted the first team for the full time last year. I mean, he just went out on loan this past year right there to Ajax right there to get more minutes and all that. So you can say the same thing about him. But yeah, with Rio right there, the kid's talented. I mean, I think when I said a couple of weeks ago right there that I would not go out there and have him go out there and play as many matches right there to put the stress on him, and they give him more time in the U20 and with the U23s. It wasn't right there to stifle his talent. It was right there to go out there to humble the talent right there, to make sure that he understands, hey, you know what? You have to work for this stuff like that. You have to go through the rigors. It goes back to the whole thing right there, the mentality back from the boot room right there about what a kid did right there. You go clean his. You basically cleaning the guy's boots right there. I mean, that was your role right there when you back in the old days. You came there and actually learned to go there to become part of the team. You did this stuff like that. But when you have a talent right there, you have to come up there and actually utilize that talent in some means. 10 minutes coming on, I'm good with that right there. And I thought that, again, right there, the kid's got spark. I mean, he definitely has a spark to him. But I think that we can't limit the kid by bringing him in as a 10-minute player. I mean, he has to get game time right there to actually learn to be cohesive as a team right there, which is why I came there and said right there, I think that the kid needs to have a lot more U23 minutes than he does actually first team minutes.
Let's move on to, there was that famous incident with this gentleman here. Because as I said, I'm of the same mind that a manager like that is, number one, as a fan, you'll get behind, but number two, as a player, you'll get behind. The kind of football he plays, it's incredibly cynical, it's incredibly defensive, and it's very, very hard to maintain motivation in players to give up that kind of creativity that because players want to play. It's as I know Bielsa said something along the lines. I know Rinus Michels said the same thing. Street soccer never leaves you as a player. If that's where you came from, you want to play for the fun of the game as well as get paid bucket loads of cash, but you still want to enjoy the game. Mm-hmm. But a manager like that makes you want to believe in. Like, his players don't doubt him for 1 second, do they? And if we may not like his style of football, but if he was the Liverpool manager, we'd be right behind 100,000%, wouldn't we?
Oh, you'd love him. I love him. I think I love him. I just like managers who I'd run through a brick wall for, and I think that's what he is. People can sit there and say, "Oh, his style of football." He battered Liverpool for 20 minutes yesterday. We couldn't get the ball off them in the second half, and Liverpool are meant to be a really nice attacking style of football. We couldn't get the ball off them genuinely for 20 minutes. Ekatike was chasing shadows when he came on. Like, you know what I mean, from their centre halves, and he's still got Clement Longley playing centre half. He was on loan at Villa, and he's made him look like a bit of a centre back, which is quite nice. I just think he can play numerous ways, and I think that's a strong point in all managers. I think if they have a plan B and plan C, his plan A, yes, he was to come and sit in, but Liverpool get a deflected goal, and then the game opens up. Otherwise, we can talk about. I'm supposed to be on in a second, right? But I want to, because I think this is important. What Burnley did to Liverpool, and what Atletico Madrid wanted to do to Liverpool, because Liverpool didn't score in the first couple of minutes. Burnley have set a blueprint now for other sides to say this works. If our fucking lad doesn't stick his arm out, this works and we get a point. So Liverpool are going to have to break down a lot of low blocks this season, because if you're Leeds or if you're Sunderland, I'll be going to Anfield and playing exactly the same way as what Burnley just did. Is that fair to say? Because there's two other ways to win a football match. And then you'd also say, if you're Leeds or you're Sunderland, we've got better attacking players, and on the counter-attack, we'll just score. Do you know what I mean? We have a better chance to score than Burnley did. But that's one thing. Atletico Madrid have come up to set the same way. And the reason why they've done that is because it worked for them 5 years ago. It worked. Whether we like it or not, it worked for them. And Liverpool battered them that day, by the way. I always remember that game. Liverpool absolutely battered them. Liverpool should have been out of sight, out of mind in the first half an hour. But if you're the Atletico side, they'll sit there and go, worked, didn't it? Because we got through. And I like a manager who can play multiple ways. I like a manager who will die for you on the sideline. And we can sit there, by the way, and we mentioned style of football. We watched Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez for 8 years. Okay, they weren't as negative as that, but I've seen a few dire performances in European football, mate, when we were going away. Do you know what I mean? You remember the famous one with Rafa in 2005 going to Juventus? Jesus wept. It was, you thought Burnley defended deep. Liverpool were in the fucking 6-yard box, cleaning shots away, defended a 2-1 lead. So there's multiple ways to win games, and Simeone's found a balance, and I love him. I genuinely love the man. I really do. I would love him to get him for a few years in the Premier League. Just because he's managers like Mourinho and Simeone, when they're gone, you'll miss them. You missed them so. Everyone wanted Mourinho to take that West Ham job, didn't he? Just to get him back in the league. Get him back in the league. He's a laugh. Do you know what I mean? He's box office. He is box office, and what he's doing, he's offering the fans fights. It's just absolutely tremendous. And that, by the way, if I was a manager, that's how I would react. If that happened to me, I'd turn around to their home fans going, I'm going to kill him. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that. I love that in managers, mate. And yeah, I think, again, when he's gone, you will really miss those type of characters.
I think though as well, if he was to come to, he'd have to be at like a Bournemouth. It can't be a big team. It has to be a team that's going to annoy the hell out of everybody because they're fifth in the league.
A great side of one of them, like a really West Ham was a great side for him.
Yeah, that'd be a great. Yeah,
yeah. Like if he goes to Everton, I'll be heartbroken.
Sunderland.
Yeah, just someone like middle of the road, and he gets them. I told you, unbelievable, like amazing.
Simeone's just grit. He's grit, and that's it. I mean, and this is when I saw that when I saw that was our first match. I dreaded it because I mean, like with Atletico is such a hard team for us to play. They've just going down the line right there. Getting knocked out a couple years ago right there. I mean, from them. They go and they dig in and they dig in at Anfield. They don't mind playing us. You're going to come across some European sides that they get that shock of coming in and playing at Anfield. Atletico Madrid has never had that shock. They'll go at it. They don't care. It's all on Simeone.
It's the only club. Those two Madrid clubs, they're the only club who come to Anfield and go, we're not asked. Especially Real. I always feel like with Real when people go, oh, we'll take anyone back at Anfield, take anyone. And we should have that bravado about us because that's what Anfield is. Real Madrid come. Don't care. Yeah, we've won 15 of these or 16 of these, lads. We don't care. We're not asked. Do you know what I mean? Like, we played everywhere and we know what to do to win. And I quite like that. And Simeone will do anything to win. And then I've always been a big fan of those type of managers. And again, when they're gone, honestly, football, I always feel like now football's losing a bit of its soul, a bit of its box office sometimes. And managers are box office, and I genuinely hope he does it. Give me a 3-year stint at West Ham, please. I'm into it.
Now, Brian, the question I was going to have, I'm going to ask, I was going to have for Suzy because it's his particular soapbox. So I'll ask it to you instead. When you look at up close, Simeone and what he does with Atletico Madrid and the cynicism and the gesticulations on the sideline, and he's like Klopp. That's why I like him. You're getting Diego Simeone on the sideline. He'll be the exact same out in the pub, or he'll be the exact same playing Risk or something like that. Here's what I was going to ask Suzy, but you're going to get the question. Do you get the impression that Mikel Arteta, far from wanting to be Pep Guardiola on the sideline, is Timu Diego Simeone instead?
Yeah, in a way, right there, because I think he wants to go there, dig in, and play that defensive type of ball. But I don't think. But in a way, right there, Simeone isn't. People say that he goes and plays a low block, but I think that if you watch Simeone, it's not there right there. Like you said right there, that 20 minutes right there, we can get the ball off him. I mean, so it's like there. I mean, I think the one thing with Arsenal fans are so like split on Arteta. I mean, you can go talk to most Arsenal fans like they've been done with him. They were done with him last year because they said about the amount of money that's been spent right there. Atletico classically doesn't spend a bunch of money on players. I mean, if you look at, you came there, went back and came there and brought your players back and stuff like that. I mean, Koke right there was kind of like a little bit.
Alvarez.
Yeah. Alvarez. But if you look at class,
they always go for that like one big one, and then the rest are all like small pieces, aren't they? That they like to try and add up. Yeah,
correct. I mean, you had when they bought Conor Gallagher in there, and they went through there. He was just like a piece. He's a puzzle piece basically. And so it's like if you look in there, that entire part of that half of Madrid adores him. I mean, they adore Simeone. I mean, and I don't think you have that same exact kind of thing with Arteta. I think again, you still people say, okay, again, we should maybe we should have moved on after being second for 2 straight seasons right there, not making the progress. You were the hands down favorite to win the league last season. You couldn't do it. I mean, is this going to be, again, right there, is he constantly going to be the bridesmaid right there? Atletico's used to being the underdog. I mean, they're used to it. It doesn't bother them at all. It doesn't. Arsenal, the mentality of an Arsenal supporter right there is that they should be rule London, that they should be winning the league. They should be doing this all the time right there. Atletico's okay with, hey, you know what? I'm going to come there and bust out a 3rd place, maybe a 2nd place, and an occasional 1st right there, but it's not going to kill them right there. it makes Arsenal supporters mental. I mean, they go. I mean, you can watch the Arsenal fan TV right there and watch these guys. And they're like just going a mental breakdown right there about about losing matches.
My days, bro. My days, bro. My days. My days, bro. Oh, my days. My days, bro. That's basically Arsenal
I think
TV.
the part where Simeone, where he plays the underdog really well, because you can sell the story of we're playing against Madrid and Barca, Real, of course, and we're competing with them, and that's why he suits it perfectly. Arteta can try and play that role, but you've spent £1 billion or whatever it is. It's a ridiculous amount of money. So
and it's Arsenal,
and it's also
a decorated club.
Exactly. So you can try and play this underdog role, but it doesn't work because, first of all, the people don't buy into it as much, but also eventually has to leave with a trophy. I say this all the time. Eventually, there has to be a trophy, otherwise, the word becomes stale. They'll just look and go, "Hey lads, we've got to go and sit 10 men behind the ball again to do what? To get picked off or lose 1-0 or win the game 1-0." And again, there's only so much you can buy that into players, and I think that's why sometimes a change of voice might work. Or you put a trophy on the table and go, "Told you it'll work. Do you want to do it again?" And they go, "Yeah, that was fun."
Yeah. Let's look at just the stats. It turned out to be an even game because as Cosy said, there was a period where Atletico were the dominant team and they tried to make it work as much as possible. But the key stat there is, regardless of how the goals came about, is the 2 conceded. Here was basically our average positions for the night. Fairly structured, 4-2-3-1. Players relatively close together. We are kind of getting that reputation of having to score last-minute winners because we keep giving up leads. Brian and Cosy, what is the deal? Is it just a matter of the clicking? Is there something about the fact that the midfield hasn't been consistent? We haven't had Gravenberch for the first game, 2 games, whatever. He's had to reintegrate. Or is the scary thought that Johnny Hatinka was the secret behind the defensive performances last season? He wants that to be the secret.
There's a part of this, I think, where I think there's a lot of this. I just think, first of all, it's fitness. I think it's a bit of naivety. Liverpool won a lot of games 2-0 last year, a lot, and I think they felt like they could win games 2-0. I don't think the manager likes to win games 2-0, by the way. I think that's why the manager wants to sign loads of strikers to go any chance you can whack a few sides so I can make some changes here. So there's various things. I'm not massively concerned right now. I think if it continues, I will be, because I thought we were better as the performance. And you've got to think of the team you're playing. You're playing good sides. This is the other part. We're playing good sides. You can count a clean sheet against Burnley if you want, but Burnley were never going to score. Never, ever for a month of Sundays. But technically, it's a clean sheet. Arsenal was a clean sheet. So there's 2 back-to-back in the league. If you want to count them, you can. You know what I mean? But again, there's 2 sides that didn't want to score. I wouldn't be too concerned right now. If Everton get 2 against you, I'll be fucking throwing the table over. But at the moment, you know what I mean? And that's not a stint in Everton. Everton are coming in really good stead. We'll have a chat about them, I'm sure. But I just think Liverpool need to be a little bit more switched on. I think he would have loved this Curtis Jones sub yesterday. I really think he would have loved that sub. I thought Curtis changed the game against Arsenal. It's a really untimely injury. And I think Rio, I probably made a decision probably in the last 10 days that he's probably not 6th choice. He's probably 5th choice. He's that good. And the reason why I say that, Jens, right, the Burnley game changed everything for me a little bit. I know he didn't come on for long. Kyle Walker really wanted to engage with Gakpo when Gakpo was on the field. He really wanted to get close to him, kind of muscle him off and that. Rio came on the pitch. He didn't want to know. Didn't want to know. Well, no, and we can. I know it's funny, but he's 35. He's won 6 or 7 Premier Leagues. Very experienced defender, knows his stuff. Still quick, by the way. Didn't want to know him. And I always think about that when really experienced defenders give a lot of kids respect, and they go, "Stand off him. Don't engage him because he can embarrass me quick." Do you know what I mean? When you're that age, lads, and you're conserving energy and you're conserving your body in moments in games and to go and not to go, and you look at a player and go, "He can embarrass me." It really switched with me, I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, and then of course him getting picked over Chiesa, the Champions League, helps that conversation as well. I just think the team, the squad, rated him that highly that he is now the 5th choice, and that's where we're at with Liverpool. But I wouldn't be so concerned just yet. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks.
Let's just look at this, Brian. This stat now, defensive stats in general. I don't think they found anything that actually mean anything in general. Just let me bring this up so that you can read it with our old eyes.
Yeah.
But I just highlighted tackles there in order. We're second least amount of tackles per game, and I believe we're one of the lowest amount of interceptions per game. I've looked at stats for years and years and years and years, and I cannot find one that, or even a group of defensive stats that are as defining as, say, shots on target or passes into the attacking third kind of thing. So it's really hard to use stats to talk about a defense. But the fact that we're not getting as many tackles and not getting as many interceptions, Brian, do you think that's a function of us underperforming defensively, or the fact that we hold on to the ball so much that we don't have to do it as much?
I don't know. It's kind of like a little bit of mix of both right there. I mean, I think that, again, right there, that I think you're getting used to going from Heidegger to Van Bronckhorst right there. Which, I mean, even though they're both Dutch right there, the philosophies right there are a little bit different as far as like what their defensive, what they want for their defense. So, so you're dealing with a little bit of philosophy. Again, also, you're blooding five new players into their first team. So, I mean, you're never going to quite gel all the way right there. Yeah, you have preseason right there. But again, we're still in preseason in a way right there, if you think about it right there with how this goes right there. I don't go there rate us getting out of preseason until possibly right around November time frame right there. Late mid-October, early November, after you get past that international break right there, just like kills momentum a lot of ways right there, where you're not getting that same time through there. So you get a good run of matches right there, you get good fitness right there, then that's where it gets more important. At the beginning right there, my problem right there I had with the defense was Kirkes right there with his runs. We're not timing them out right there and communicating well with that left holding midfielder, which then Gravenberg was at the side right there on that point. And also going to a point right there, like even Kazi said right there, you're dealing with a McAllister right there that's not fit. I mean, so you're still also having these problems. Again, Curtis Jones right there would have solved a lot of those issues right there, because I think that Curtis Jones would have been up to be in there and to be able to slot into that position right there to go and take over on that left-hand side right there where Kirkes makes these runs. But so again, it's going to take time. I mean, again, right there, you're gelling players right there. So I think that, again, it goes back to new philosophies, gelling players and all that. But I mean, again, I don't think they're really turning off. I just think that there's this excuse me, that they're just working things out.
Here's what I don't want to be like kind of too cheeky about it, but if Johnny Hatinga looked after the defensive side of the game last season, I don't think it's maybe ever as clear cut as that in football, but if he did and he was replaced by it's not really that clear cut. It's not like American football. But the only point I'm going to make is Gianni Van Bronckhorst's record at Rangers defensively. He was terrible, so I hope it's not that.
I don't think. Again, I'm a bit Brian a little bit. I just think Liverpool are working it out. I also think we're playing slightly different players in different positions. So, for example, Szoboszlai and Wirtz, I would argue Szoboszlai wins more tackles than Wirtz in games. And they're both playing, Wirtz is now playing Szoboszlai's position last season. It's also part of this where Kirkes is probably making about 17 tackles a game, if Frimpong's making none. So you're building two new fullbacks and things. I'm not concerned by that. I think it's more Liverpool want them at times to have the ball and we'll intercept you and break instead of really getting close to you. Because if you actually look at that stat again, there's not many teams in the top 10 of the least amount of tackles who are in the top 5 of the league. All that, you know what I mean? Like it felt like to me, if I looked, I think Wolves are at the bottom and they make the most tackles. And Wolves are crap. So, I mean, do you know what I mean? So we are where we are. No, again, I'm not concerned at all, gents. I'm really not. It's frustrating and I'm annoyed by it. But if you actually look at sometimes the goals that we're conceding in these games as well, again, Llorente yesterday, like the first one's a good goal, but the second one deflected, weird. You know what I mean? Like just something weird has happened again for them to score. Bournemouth's really poor. Really poor. You shouldn't really concede those ones, and we can swallow that really. So let's relax. We're easy now, say, and I agree with Brian. I still think pre-season Liverpool haven't nowhere near clicked, and we've won 5. We've done something that we never done last year. We've won 5 games on the bounce, which is wild.
Just checking it out there. Szoboszlai has like a half a tackle more per 90 minutes than Wirtz.
Yeah, because he's playing in a different position as well.
Yeah.
So if Szoboszlai was playing in the Vert role and he was back in that 10, I reckon Szoboszlai has a lot more than Vert would. Do you know what I mean?
Here's the thing about what I was going to ask Brian. We know what gegenpressing, what Klopp's heavy metal pressing was like. Slots is a lot different. It's not so wildly different that you wouldn't recognize it as pressing, but it's certainly a lot more considered and less hectic. Do you think that kind of loss of that all-out 100 miles an hour from 1 minute to 97th minute pressing, do you think that's what they have to recalibrate at the back? That's what they're kind of not figuring out, is that, under Klopp, the back four were essentially sweepers to the midfield and the forwards doing the pressing and the stopping. Now they actually have to be defenders. So that there's that slight recalibration of, we have to be a back four now. We're not just like mopping up the loose ball that pops out when Salah, Jota, and McAllister go press the same player.
I mean, we saw it last year right there with controlled presses. I mean, with that, you saw that play. I think the only difference you had right there was you had Szoboszlai making runs in there on this last year, which stretched defense, stretched the opposed defense. So that's really the only thing you have. So what you're going down to by buying a number 10 right there is you've gone back to having the balance get put onto the center of the pitch. And I think that's the one thing that's different that you're having. And so you have to reorganize with how you did it. Because if you look at last year right there, we basically played off of Trent / Robertson right there on that side, on the other side right there, making runs on there. So you still had a little bit of a Klopp type of football in the way how they attacked and all that. It's a little bit different now. Yes, you have organized runs that you're still seeing Frimpong make the run / Szoboszlai, and you're still seeing Kirkes make these runs right there. But the ball, for the most part, right there, is staying centralized in the center of the pitch. And that's why you buy number 10 right there to keep for that type of philosophy. So, I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier right there. Eventually, this side's going to evolve right there. I mean, because if you look in and this is kind of a comment that came back on Monday night with that Booker was talking about. In the long run right there, this is kind of phasing Mo out in a way right there. I mean, what's this eventually going to do? As much as we love Mo, I think that what's going to happen right there with the tools and players that you have in place right now, I think that Mo is going to become a player that's not necessary right there to do what we want to do. And I think, because I think that what you're having with Ikiteke and Isak in the front right there, you don't need a front three anymore. And that's why I kind of sit back a couple of weeks during preseason about seeing when buying Frimpong right there, you're basically shifting Mo more inside. And so if you watch him, he's playing a little bit more inside to give Frimpong those runs. So again, this is all lining back up right there to either one going to a modified 4-4-2 or going into a modified, with a three in the back of, like a 4-2-3-1 kind of like something like that, where you're going to have two or three players behind Isak and have him as a focal point right there, where you don't need to have a 4-3-3 anymore. And that's what's going to wind up happening on here. And I think eventually right there that's the progression right there when you have possession-based football versus coming there and having gegenpressing / crossing in football, that we've played for the past basically 10 years right there. It's going to be different.
I'm still going to go with my 4 diamond too. I think that's what will end up being with Wirtz in the 10.
Disagree. Massive.
So that's what we bought the players for. If you look at it, 2 strikers, a number 10, and 2 wingbacks.
Liverpool,
not fullbacks. 2 wingbacks.
Liverpool lost 2 number 9s this summer. 1 sold, 1 passed away. Lost a left winger. I don't see it, gents. I know what you're saying. I've said Frimpong's your wing back for years, and people laughed at me. But
I've been
being proved right. But I mean, again, because people are going, we can just play right wing then for Salah, but he's a right back, isn't he? He's not. So he's a wing back, in my opinion, playing right back. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he is. But anyway, the reason why I disagree is don't think Liverpool renew the contract of Mo Salah unless you're just going to milk the next 2 years literally every ounce of football left in him out of him. And the best way you do that is to leave him in the 4-3-3 and doing what he wants. I completely get what Brian's saying with Frimpong's overlapping runs, which Trent wouldn't really do that many for him. And Salah would have to hold the width. I understand that argument, and that's completely fair. But I just don't think that's a change in formation. I just think they want Mo Salah on the ball a bit more inside, a bit more, where he picked up the goal yesterday, for example, in that space. Do you know what I mean? Instead of being a bit more on the width. I think that's all that is. And the Ekitike Isaac argument is, if Ekitike cost 20 million, would we be saying this? No.
I would.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't say yes to start with Isaac. You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
I would say in a 4-3-1-2. Yeah, I would totally say that.
So if you could sign any striker for 15, 20 million, you go, he has to start with Isaac.
No, I didn't say you have to start, but if I'm looking at the profile of player that we bought, that we have the profile of player to play a 4-3-1-2.
I agree with that. I'm not saying Liverpool can't play that formation. You are right. What I'm saying is, I think Liverpool fans only feel that way. Or we have to play both of them because of the price tag you paid.
No, I agree that we don't have to play. But
I just think fans have got that in their head because of the price that they paid, and it's un-Liverpool-like, for example. But all of this summer's been un-Liverpool-like.
Yeah.
Nothing this summer's made sense. The only thing that kind of made sense is the Kirk signing was the only one that made sense. All the rest have been a bit mad. Do you know what I mean? Just in terms of the money that's being spent. So my point being is, I think that's where fans are getting kind of construed. Like, Isaac has to start because you paid so much. No, he doesn't. Why? I look at the squad. Fucking Haaland had the fucking Julian Alvarez behind him for the year. Why can't Liverpool do that? Do you know what I mean? I just think there's also a part of this, gent, and I keep thinking about it. There's 60-odd games that Liverpool should be playing this year if Liverpool is successful. And they both can't start 30-odd each. Everyone's got concerns over Isaac's fitness. I don't. But he hasn't very often played 3 games in a week, has he? For Newcastle? No?
Nope.
So, Liverpool are playing 3 games in a week, basically from here till Christmas. Do you know what I mean? And then after Christmas. So, there's going to be games where Isaac's getting 90. Sorry, Ekitike is getting 90. Do you know what I mean? So, I just think we all need to calm down a bit on completely ripping it all up. Do you know what I mean? I think it's actually working right now. Liverpool's got averaging 3 a game. If you want to talk, you know what I mean? Apart from Burnley and Arsenal, who never came to score. When teams are actually coming out a little bit, Liverpool getting 3 a game. From the game. Liverpool should score 5 yesterday, 6 yesterday. Is that if Liverpool walk off the pitch yesterday and win the game 6-2, is that uncalled for? Is that unjust? No. I think it would be completely deserved. Frimpong's misses an open goal. Salah is the post. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's going to take time, and I think it's all just a little bit early, I think, from what we're going to be doing.
Now, the thing about combining the defensive thing and then what we're going to be doing is we get the test of this weekend. It's the derby. It's not a game we're going to talk about it, but I'm sure Kazi, from being from those parts, will agree. We've talked about this before. You can't predict this game. You just can't predict it. Everton are doing well under Moyes. Moyes is a perfect Everton manager. Yeah, perfect. He does exactly what he says on the tin for them. And he's always been a tricky kind of customer for teams, except for at Man United. But then nobody has been, to be fair, since Ferguson retired. But it's a tricky game to call on a tactical perspective and all that kind of stuff. You can't look at stats and you can't say this shape or that shape or whatever. It could be 90 minutes or 97 minutes of pure chaos. With, as we said at the start, a hopeful last-minute winner to break all of their hearts. But Brian, how do you see this game? We saw Isak start. Does he start this one? Does Wirtz come out of his shell, and then does he dominate and then plant his flag? As a Premier League player, is Konate going to? Are we going to see that dominance? That because I thought Konate was very good against Burnley. No, what was the last game he played before? It was Burnley, wasn't
it? Arsenal.
It was Burnley.
Burnley, yeah. The Konate. That's what happens when you buy a house. Cause it all goes out the window. Trust me. I missed an entire month of my life when we bought ours. That's because we had the months left on the rent in the apartment, so you had to keep coming in every day. I was living in 2 places for a month. It was great, but it was actually. But it's not a game we can sit here and stroke our chins and pull up all the charts and all that. It's but is this a game as Cosy said, Brian, at the start? Is this a game where moments could make reputations for Liverpool players, and a moment that could make the league for the rest, not comfortable, obviously, but make a mark that goes, okay, when it clicks, watch out. We are all in trouble now, because when Liverpool click, it's going to be just impossible to beat them. Or is it going to be another nail-biting game and somebody, Jordan Pickford makes a mistake and somebody capitalizes on it, one way or the other. And then we're all either sitting there kicking ourselves or wiping the sweat off our brow and then phoning Sir Z for his extra heart tablets. Which way do you think it's going to go?
When was the last Mercy Derby that hasn't been a nail biter? It hasn't been like to a grinder. I mean, this is what these matches are. I mean, right there. I mean, you basically throw form out the door. No, I mean, there is no form right there. I mean, I think that the players right there with Everton that I like Beto. I think Beto's actually a good is a fairly decent player right there. I mean, I think that Grealish right there complements him a lot right there. So that's the one thing right there that I think that is good for them. The problem is right there, there's a lot of so for them right there. I mean, it's one thing right there where you basically have to come there, keep your head in the match. I'm glad that we don't have Nunez. I'm glad we don't have as many hotheads in the side right there because these are the type of matches right there that love to fire up a hothead. I mean, we've seen red cards in this match constantly right there where people just go and just lose their cool in like 5 seconds right there, and next thing you know, it flares up and it's a red card right there. So, play your match. That's the one thing that Liverpool has to do. They have to play their match right there. They have to keep possession, play their match right there, and then look for opportunities on there. I mean, it's what we do right there. I mean, it's again, their record at Anfield isn't great, just like our record at Goodison wasn't great. I mean, so you have to go on that part right there. That they don't like coming across. They don't like coming and playing at Anfield. It's a kind of a jinx to them in a way right there. I mean, what they've won one match out of the past, what?
They've won one since 1999 at Anfield, and that was the COVID season.
That was it. I mean, so it's hard. It's hard for you to go play. I mean, again, like you said right there, our form at Goodison was terrible. Their form at Anfield is worse. I mean, it's
a fair point. Listen, this is the biggest game of the season. Every time we play them, it's the biggest game of the season. I'm sorry for all you fans who say it's Man United. You're wrong. This is the biggest game. We have such a worse record against Everton than Man United. It's a joke. Especially in the last 5 years, we've battered United. Like, I can't even remember the last time they beat us properly. I think they beat us at Old Trafford like 2 years ago, apart from the cup game. But anyway, it's going to be difficult. I slightly disagree with Brian. I would usually say form goes out the window, but I actually think Everton might fancy themselves, so I think they might play to have a bit of the ball. I think they might look at the other games and think, well, people have scored 2 against them, why can't we bag one? Do you know what I mean? David Moyes never won an Anfield. And it must be a stick, and it must stick to you. Do you know what I mean? It must hurt, like you've never won there, and you've managed in the Premier League for 20 years. With various different guises of football clubs. But they come in good stead. They have good players, and we should really. Unfortunately for me, they are very good players, and they deserve the respect. They've started really well. I actually really like their front four. I think Ndai, Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, and Beto are pretty good as a front four. It's very nicely balanced, good players. Mm-hmm. Don't get the ball away often, which I'm sure we'll have a chat about in a second. The starting 11. But again, Liverpool's big target. They'll probably play James Garner left back because they haven't got a left back. And if you're Mo Salah, they're playing a centre mid, a right-footed centre mid left back. Come on, let's be having you a bit more. If they're going to come out and try and get on the front foot, then Mo should have a space a little bit so we can kind of operate a bit more. Which probably comes down again. We'll talk about the starting 11 in a second, but it's the biggest game of the season, and it should be treated like that. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, Cozzy, and me being an old codger and a veteran of Anfield or Liverpool derbies, Liverpool Everton derby since 1982. There was a long period of time, including Moyes' first time, where Everton were the so-called Joe Royal Dogs of War. They made it a battle every single time.
Yep.
But this version of Moyes seems to want to play the ball a lot more. Grealish is not a player that you bring in if you want to fight on the pitch. Dewsbury Hall is not a player you bring in if you want to fight on the pitch. This feels like it's going to be maybe the first time he wants to try and play football.
Yeah.
That may be the thing that hurts them, won't it? Because we can do that better.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, but I think it's his best way home. I really do think it's his best way home. I think if he tries to play, as you just said, the old dogs of war mentality, I don't think that's going to happen. Because I think Liverpool will score. And then it's very hard to get you to go from one side to the other side pretty quickly, going, okay, we're going to go from dogs of war to Brazil 1970. Yeah. It's very difficult to do in game. I think if Everton starts on the front foot, they'll give Liverpool problems in the first 15-20. They'll be nervous. Yeah. Like, it's an early kickoff. It's awkward. It's an awkward time for everyone involved, really. I think Liverpool win the game, but I'm worried. Like, Everton are going to come in good shape. And the biggest Dewsbury Hall fan in the world, as people know, and he started really well for them. You'll see how good he is on the weekend. So, yeah, and again, I do want to talk about the starting 11 because I think it's important. That's why I think Robertson has to play up, because I think just for the experience alone in Derby, he's not giving away cheap free kicks and yellow cards because he can be ferocious. But also, he's playing against Ndai, who's very tricky. He skips past that. He wants to always beat his man. If Kirky gets booked in the first 15 minutes, you have another Burnley situation happening. It's just something that you just don't want. You just don't need that conversation to be had, do you? And that's why I'm going back to the other side as well, and I might as well go into it, I'll play Frimpong. Because I just want Frimpong running past Garner. Do you know what I mean? I want him running past a lad who doesn't play left back. And because if he's running past him, Garner's going, where do I go here? Do you know what I mean? If I go with him, Salah's got 60 yards of space to run into. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I want Frimpong, I think, playing. I think it's the same two centre halves. I think your midfield's super interesting. I'll probably play the three that just played, even though I'm the biggest McAllister fan in the world. But I'd also want McAllister on the ball, but I thought Szoboszlai was tremendous and he doesn't deserve to be dropped. And I would probably play Ekitike. Sorry, I wouldn't. I'll play Isak, but I think the manager will play Ekitike.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do Isak now. I think if you get Isak right for the Palace game away and then United, I think you can kind of go from there, really.
But also, there's the thing that if you bring Isak on and he scores a winning goal, that's a massive boost for his confidence, isn't it?
Stories can be written in derbies, and that's how football got for Virgil van Dijk's derby. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how in Liverpool, it's one of those only games, especially where we go, it's a players' derby. That's their derby. That's McAllister's derby. That's Origi's. That's Van Dijk's. I always say the Gerrard derby when he gets his hat-trick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's their derby, and moments like this can happen in this type of football match.
Brian, what do you think, lineup wise? My question is, does Gakpo start on the left? Is he doing enough to start on the left right now? It seems to me, and I understand the whole moves and all that kind of stuff, but there's almost a Diaz-shaped hole on the left side right now. He's not kind of stepping up now that Diaz is not there. For me, I could be wrong, but there just seems to be a bit of a hole on the left-hand side right now. That it's almost like a vacuum. The ball goes there to die.
Gakpo doesn't like to play wide. I mean, that's the problem right there. I mean, with it goes, and I mean, he's a more inside type of player right there. And I think that, in this type of situation right there, if you're playing, in which I agree with Kazi, I think Robertson definitely has to play this match. I mean, I just don't think that Kirkhead is equipped to play this match right there, the Merseyside derby yet. I think that again, it goes back to the mentality thing right there, and also goes back to age and experience. And even though that Robertson can become a hothead right there, but he has the one thing with him is that he's played Merseyside derbies. He knows what's going to happen. Kirkes hasn't played this right there, this type of match before right there. So again, Frimpong on the other side right there, definitely agree with that. I mean, your defense is basically unchanged. I'm almost the same thing with Kazi. I'm not dropping Szoboszlai right now. I can't. I can't at the moment right there, because I mean, I've seen him already come there and play in two different positions on this pitch right there, and he's actually came there and played well in both of them right there. And I think that you kind of need to have that runner a little bit there behind. And I was kind of skeptical at first of how Szoboszlai and Wirtz were going to be able to play together. I think if they could play together very well. I think that Gravenberch coming through and dropping back, kind of like what Kazi I said back in there when these fullbacks make their runs, having Gravenberch drop back right there to go and cover the fence right there. We give Szoboszlai and Wirtz that amount of movement right there to make runs and stuff like that through there. One, you got precision. One, you actually have somebody actually being practical and making passes. As far as Gapco goes out there, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like I think that Ikiteke is basically going to start. But if he doesn't right there, I'm okay with putting Ikiteke in that role right there where Gapco's at with Isak up front. I mean, I would be okay with doing that right there, but I don't think it's going to happen. I definitely think that Isak's going to be on the bench. I wouldn't mind. I would say he may come in on the 60th minute kind of thing like that, just to give him the minutes. And then he may actually start against Southampton after that right there, just to go there and give him more time on the pitch right there, just so he gets those moments. But I mean, again, this is just it can take. I mean, Gakpo's form right now is kind of troubling to me at the moment. I mean, it's like he's kind of lost in that role, like you were saying.
Let me ask you this though, just to digress quickly about Gakpo, because we'll get back to you there. If he's not a left wing wide player, he also said he's not really a central player either, didn't he, before? So where the hell does he play?
And again, that was the one thing right there. I mean, it goes back on there right there. What do you do with him in that role? Because again, like I said back when we did that lineup when Kazi wasn't here, I was seeing right there Ikiteke playing off of Isak right there, and I see that being more of a future kind of thing right there, where the odd man out right there is going to want to be in Gakpo and that odd man out in that situation right there, because again, you're going to be a little more narrow on that left hand side, but you make up for it by having your left side midfield shift over a little bit more, and you also have runs coming on the left hand from your left on your left fullback. So it makes sense right there by having that right there. I don't think that Gakpo can play one off of a number 9, and I don't think that he doesn't play out wide very well. I mean, we've seen this kind of happen because he drifts inside, kind of like in a not the same way that Diaz did while going the touchline drifting in. Gakpo drifts in about midway on the top of the box and then comes in. And it's almost like you see that happening.
He's easy to play against. I think that's the problem with him. I think he's easy if you're a fullback. You're having a nice day with Gakpo. And I think at times that's the problem for the player. I think he's bang lucky that Rio's not ready. I genuinely think that's how much the team rate Rio and the manager does. I think they rate Ngamoa that high that he will be starting games for Liverpool, no doubt, on the left wing. I disagree with the Ekatike conversation because it takes away your sub. It just takes away your sub. And you subs Chiesa, you know what I mean? Chiesa's a spare part, in effect, that you can throw on now and then. And I don't want to throw him on in the derby, per se. So Gakpo's weird, but he also has a really good record of scoring on Anfield. It's weird. He hasn't scored away from home in about a year, I don't think. I can't remember the last time he scored away from home. You'll have to Google. I genuinely don't remember how many times. Honestly, it's all his goals are at Anfield. Like, he had a really mad record where he scores. So I think there's another part of this, they'll play Jake O'Brien right back. So they got the big centre half playing fullback, which is the new thing to do. The in thing in football is to play centre halves at right back. And I think he's petrified of pace. So the argument is you do Gakpo for 70 and do Rio for 20, and go you go and rush, make him feel a bit uncomfortable in the match, and then we'll throw Rio at him. And I think that could be the argument for a lot of games. I think that was the argument last year when it was Diaz and it was Gakpo and they were swapping and changing. I think it worked so well because the polar opposites in players. In that aspect, one wants to hold the line, one wants to cut inside, one's got pace, one isn't that quick. Do you know what I mean? And one's really tall, one's quite small. It's just like, it was just a nice balance, and Liverpool haven't got it. So, yeah, it's frustrating. But we'll see what happens.
Brian, give us a score prediction. If you could possibly even think of a score prediction. And I'm going to let us all cheat this week. We can give 2.
Mentally, I can see a draw happen out of this. Heart right there, I can see us winning 3-1.
But
I mean, it could go both ways on this right there. And again, it goes to mentality right there and there. I can see a 1-1 draw easily with this type of match right there. I mean, just because of, again, it goes back to mentality. It goes back to what these are grudge matches and stuff like that. But I could easily also see us win this match 3-1 right there with a cheap goal somewhere mixed into the middle of it happening right there, and then just walking away with it.
By the way, they'll celebrate a draw like they've won the league. So
absolutely.
And I don't want to hear it. No, I'll probably go 3-1 Liverpool. I think Liverpool win the game. I think they have to win the game. I actually am at that stage where Arsenal playing City. It's that weekend. It's the weekend, lads. Where you can make big grounds. I felt like we did that last time. I felt when you actually look at teams who win the league, the gain ground when they should gain ground. So, for example, it's Arsenal City. Both of them can't win. They both can't win. Only one can win. So Liverpool have to win this game to gain more ground on one of those teams. I think if Liverpool are serious, they have to win. But I actually think it plays into Liverpool's hands that they're a better side, Everton. I think it plays into Liverpool's hands. I think Everton are at their worst for Liverpool when they're in a bad spot and a bad moment, and a 1-0 defeat isn't the end of the world. I actually think it's better for Liverpool when they're half decent and they fancy themselves a bit. I think Liverpool, do you know what I mean? I think that's when the game can open up a bit more. Everton don't mind coming into Anfield stinking the place out. They've done it many times, and because especially when they were at their lowest ebb under like Dyche and Benitez and whatever it was. So when we played them, at least in the derby with the Benitez. But yeah, I just feel like when they're good, and they are good, we have to give them respect. They are a good side at the moment. They'll come out and attack, and Liverpool will open up.
That's kind of the wish almost, isn't it? Like Everton trying to play helps us more than Everton trying to dig in.
They just give the ball. They just give the ball to Grealish. And by the way, that's what they should do. That should be Everton's way home for the next 38 games. Just give the ball to Grealish because he'll create something for you. Yeah. And sometimes, by the way, a lot of teams in the league have that one player, and you can play for the top club. They just give the ball to him, and that's fine. And then what they do, they mop up and they'll clean chances. The biggest plus is for Liverpool, Branthwaite isn't playing. It's the biggest plus because Tarkowski's been a bag of rags for 12 months. Honestly, lads, you'll see him on the weekend. Been a bag of rags for 12 months. Michael Keane started the season really well for them, really good. So Tarkowski's legs have fell off, and I think Liverpool can get down their sides, really. Do you know what I mean? So I think Liverpool win the game.
That one final prediction before we go, for both of you, how soon into the game will it be before the Everton fans boo?
Oh, I reckon when Ndiaye takes a dive in the 4th minute and they don't get a free kick, and they boo the ref. That's what I reckon.
or in the warm up.
Yeah, when Ndiaye dives in the warm up and they don't get a free kick.
the first throw in that doesn't go their way.
Yeah. They'll never walk alone. They like to turn the box, they never walk alone because it's cool and jazzy. It's hilarious. I love my blue boys.
What a club. Right, well, so with that said, thank you so much, Brian and Cozzy. We have another prediction. We don't have any predictions tonight. We usually have some predictions on the scores there. I think somebody said 2-1. But if you want to find out what's happening more along the weekend, make sure you follow us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and X now. For now, it's Twitter and Blue Sky. And then like and subscribe, because if you don't do those things, then we disappear. We're like the reverse picture of Dorian Gray. There's no likes and subscribes. Our hair grows back. And nobody wants to see that. We're handsome chappies as it is. So with that said, keep an eye out for the morning coffee show tomorrow, and maybe a pre-match, post-match, or possibly any sort of watch along for this weekend. And follow the website as well. Read all the fantastic articles that are there. And we will see you next time for more fun and games, a little bit of loopiness, and a lot of really dead hair follicles. And handsome beards, but not for Brian because he didn't grow his today. Peace out, everybody. See you next week. Have a good one. Here's some funky music.